to A Safe Space Between Us. I am your host Kieran and my co-host Tessa. This is your safe space. There is no judging here. We care. You're not alone. We will support you and help you. This is your channel too. Enjoy. We've got a wicked guest today. He done the intro to our song, Issa Bangz. Issa, say hello to the guest, mate. So today's episode is regarding Issa's story. So we'll get straight into it. So Issa, just tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Obviously they know your name Issa, but anything else interesting about yourself?
Yeah, hi. My name is Issa. As you already know, I'm just another guy going through mental health. I didn't really understand it at first, but now, obviously, with all the signs and everything else, and other people that I've spoken to, I can clearly admit that I'm struggling with it. Just every day is a battle. I've got 2 kids. From Peckham area.
Football team is called Issa.
Arsenal.
Good lad.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Tessa, you Arsenal as well?
Right, I don't follow football that much. Bit of a hat sport team would be
everyone,
Arsenal.
she's going to give us a long story now, but go on.
Oh, don't! No, my partner and the kids support Arsenal, so by default, I'm an Arsenal fan.
We're going to win a league.
Yes.
So Issa, just quickly, what's kind of like made you come on today? Because I know chatting to you just before, when you done the intro, you mentioned it was a good thing and that, like what we're doing, but you didn't really mention about talking about your thing. And then today, obviously, getting your message, I thought, whoa. So, like, what's over the last couple of days, weeks, months, what's kind of made you actually want to start talking out and tell your story and realise that you might need some support in some way or whatever, mate?
It's not like about 2 years ago. I didn't feel myself. Understand? Myself isolated. And at the time I was with a family, the 2 kids and my wife. But I found myself just being in the room a lot. Like I felt like I wasn't happy. There's a lot of things I used to love doing. I started losing interest in doing things. It was a bit weird. So what I did was I called my doctor and I spoke to him and I explained to him exactly how I was feeling. A lot of things that I used to have interest for, I lost a lot of interest.
Because you used to love football and that, because obviously we kicked ball with each other years ago, but then you just went ghost on us, innit? Was that the time you was going through a tough period as well? That was a couple of years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. No, that's good on you though for like reaching out to your doctor though. Respect for that.
Yeah, because like I said, there's like you mentioned, football was something that was like my getaway. To be fair, football, music. Every time I felt depressed, or I would play football. But the depression actually started during the COVID time when there was lockdown, so there wasn't a lot of football, so I couldn't go studio. So I found. That's when it started hitting me. So it was during that time I rang up my doctor and I explained to him, and he said to me, it's a sign of depression. I laughed at him. I said, me? I said, I said, I don't believe that because I'm a happy guy. I'm usually a happy type, always busting jokes. I said, it's just weird. The reason why I called is because when I'm feeling, I can't control how I'm feeling.
It's weird, isn't it? It feels a weird feeling. And obviously, me and Tessa know Issa. Weird connection. We all worked in a prison together. Not in prison, but worked in a prison. Hello, doggy.
You're never in prison.
We're just having a BBC moment when someone's walked through Tessa's door, and it's the dog. Hello, dog.
Oh yeah, it's the dog. Sorry.
But Tessa, like even at work, Issa was always always had a smile on his face, and as far as I'm aware, you just got on with most people. Tessa, like what you saw of Issa, would you thought he had things going on in his head?
To be fair, I don't think we ever actually spoke in work. I was locked away in the room, so I didn't really see many
Oh yeah,
people.
you was one of those
No,
rude people, weren't you?
no, but
She
um,
um,
hated everyone, didn't she?
no, I didn't hate everyone. Everyone hated me.
Yeah, we
Everyone
still do.
hated me.
We still do.
Yeah, I
But
know.
no,
Should
I'm
I just
joking.
go?
No, I'm joking.
It's always like, I think people can hide things very well.
Yeah, and I have to say, so like, I know people probably didn't know a lot about me, and obviously when Tessa has her story come out, but you was one of those like always had a smile on your face. Just to go back to 2 years ago, or when you started speaking to a doctor, did you feel a change in you years ago, or let's go back as from your childhood. Let's start as you're in your childhood. Tell us how was it growing up, where you was from.
yeah, my childhood, as far as I can remember, it
Yeah,
the best, but I wouldn't say it was the most difficult. I was born in Sierra Leone. I grew up in Sierra Leone. I came over to London when I was 10.
cool.
Not growing up in, because my parents, they moved over and left me when I was about just 1 years old. So I was
Wow.
raised by my aunt, and it wasn't the best because they had issue with my mom. So they didn't really look after us as their own.
Oh, is it? Well,
So
even from 1 years old, growing up, you didn't feel like they looked after you, like as though.
it was tough, like especially like in Africa. If you're in Africa and you have family abroad,
Yeah,
so basically you're seen as one of the lucky ones, so that you can literally get anything you want, But it wasn't like that in my case, like we were deprived, like then the civil war, serious war hit Sierra Leone, so we had to battle through that, like only by God's grace that we actually came out of that country untouched.
it must have been a tough time, man.
It was
Tough time.
tough. There's a particular time I remember where when the war hit Sierra Leone, me and my siblings, we were missing for like 3 days. Like no one knew where we were, just struggling through that. I would say my older brother, my sister, they remember a lot more because they were a lot more older than I
Yeah.
was. I got most of the stories from with me. It's just flashbacks. Even when I came over as a 10-year-old, I still had phobias like with like gun sounds. Because even in school, I used to get a lot of therapy because every time I hear like a loud bangs, like I get scared. I just go on the floor. So I went
Wow.
in school just to try to get over that. And
Do you still get that?
no,
No.
yeah, that was more when I was younger. I was just growing up in
That
like
must have been scary, mate.
yeah, it was traumatizing. Well, luckily, like I said, I was too young to remember a lot of
A
things.
lot, yeah.
Do you
So
think that because you'd like had some therapy when you were younger, even for completely different reasons, but do you think that because you'd had a form of therapy before, it made you more inclined to go to your GP and ask for help later on in life?
yeah, I would agree with that. But also, I've always been that type of person. Like I don't even till this day, I think my mental health got worse because I was so reluctant to like seeking help.
Mm.
Because I was similar. Do you think it's because you being a man, or do you think you just that's just your personality?
I think it's education. Like, I don't really know much about that.
Me and Tessa mentioned that the education.
I think that's where it was. Like I remember even working in Thameside as well.
Yeah,
Like we all know that you face a lot of that, a lot of people who struggle with mental. So I didn't understand it. So when prisoners were saying to me they were hearing voices. So I was thinking, like, really, that's just another excuse, for you to get one, basically.
yeah, exactly. That's what I always thought. And
Yeah,
maybe they actually did have issues and that's the thing, because even us staff working there, I'm sure I went home at times thinking, what am I doing? Like, why am I working there? Because the things you see sometimes, or stories you hear that your colleague got hurt on one wing and they're in hospital, someone's got piss thrown at them or whatever.
yeah.
Mentally, mate, I don't think we were even educated then in that place about how to help each other.
I think that I started understanding mental health working in prison, really. That's when I started to understand it. Because one day you're dealing with someone, you're busting jokes, laughing, and then the next day they're a different character.
Exactly, man.
That's when I started to understand, like, maybe it's not really an act. They're not really acting. Maybe that's
It's true.
you know. But I thought that was nothing to do with me. You know, I was a happy guy. I had 2 kids. You understand? So it was when, you know, when I spoke to my GP, and then he literally told me. I told him how I was feeling, but then he added more symptoms to it, which I could relate to. You know?
And then did it all click in and make sense?
Yeah, clicked in that I'm actually going through it right now. So what he did, I think one of my biggest reasons for feeling the way I felt was because I was I was in a relationship, long distance relationship with my ex-partner. She's from America, so I worked hard. You know, that's one of the reasons I even took the prison job, because growing up in Peckham and knowing the people that I know, I could never. So a lot of people, when they're like, "What, you?" You know, they're thinking that you're not you're not a screw. That's you know, this screw, like. But they also knew that I wasn't a road guy. You know, because I grew up in Peckham, but I took a different path. You know,
good on you. You should be proud of yourself anyway for taking that different path, because especially like I used to work in Peckham before the Thameside days, and I used to go out for drinking up there and stuff like that, and then end up in Brixton and stuff. It ain't the greatest place. No disrespect to anyone that from Peckham or Brixton, but it ain't the greatest place. And for you to go a different path, because I know how hard it must have been meeting friends and that growing up, trying to get persuaded to join certain road gangs or whatever, and you taking a different path. You should be proud of yourself, mate.
I would say, like, growing up in areas like this, you're 80% likely to join a gang. You understand? It's very hard, especially with peer pressure and all of that. It's hard to stay away from it, because all your friends, all the other people that you look up to, they're all in a gang doing crime. So what saved me, I would say, is football. So that's why I'm so grateful for, like, being around football, because I think when we was friends who asked me, let's go do this, let's go chill, I said no. I would say no. I've got football practice. So I occupied myself with football so much that I didn't have time to get up to nonsense.
Yeah.
So luckily that's helped me. I managed to keep a clean record. You know, I got an older brother. He went opposite path, so he's in the system. You understand? Like, so all of that. I was lucky because he didn't drag me along with it. You know, like there's other their brothers, because they have an older brother from Peckham. You know, that gives them a lot of confidence and guts to, you know, to be involved in crime. But with me, my brother made sure that I didn't get involved in it. So even when he's chilling with his friends and I'm there, he say to me, "Go home, don't chill with us." So he made sure he kept me away from that. So I'll give that to him. You understand? He made sure.
No, that's good though.
You know, and the football. So basically, so I wanted to bring my ex-partner to the UK, because she's in America. I used to go to America 2-3 times in a year. She wanted me to move over to America to stay there. And the year that I joined Thameside, my bags were packed. You know, I was already thinking, but that's the year that she gave birth to my son.
So just to tell all the followers, so you've got 2 children again, yeah?
What's that, sorry?
You've got 2 kids, yeah?
Yeah, no, this was before my second. So my first kid was born in America.
Right, okay,
So we were planning to settle in America. But I didn't want to leave everything behind and then move to America. In the sense, so I say, you know what? Let me try and look for a stable job. You understand? So that way, I'll be in a better position to bring them over.
That's wicked. And what happened from there, mate? With the relationship and obviously your first child, what happened?
When she gave birth to my first child, I said to her, okay, that's when I had that job at Thameside. So I said to her, I've got a decent job now. You know, like it's a job where like obviously vetting. Like, I'm cleared of vetting, so if I'm to bring you over, it would be there wouldn't be a lot of question marks around it. You understand? So yeah, so I managed to bring them over. I think that's when the pressure really started. You know, like bringing her here, making sure that I'm providing, trying to keep her happy at the same time. You know, and obviously working at Thameside is a very difficult environment as well. You know,
Definitely, mate.
they having to come home, you know, and still keep the missus happy. I started feeling that pressure on me, you know. And I think that's when I started feeling down and low. Because there was a time where it got to a point where she wasn't happy. I'll have a tough day at work. I'll come home and she wouldn't even want to talk to me. You know, I tried to explain that, just, you know, like you've done the job. Sometimes you want to come home, you need like someone to get the hound around you. Especially,
what was your routine, and Tessa as well? My routine when I come home from the prison, my missus kind of was the same at the time. Was of I used to have to go upstairs, sit on the bed for 10 minutes if it was a bad day to clear my head. Obviously with the kids, I didn't want the kids, and obviously feeling a bit dirty if there was, God, how can I say it, poo or wee in someone's cell. Yeah,
Dirty protest.
Dirty protest, that's what they're called. Yeah, and you've had to do with a prisoner. I had to sit on the bed sometimes and clear my head and think, what the hell has happened today? And obviously, with all the politics and stuff like that, what goes on behind the scenes as well, stressful. And then, but my missus started to think as well at times, which I don't blame her because I've never communicated it with her, was thinking I was just coming back in, going straight upstairs, and being guilty of something, or I think her head started questioning things and stuff. But it was actually clear my head and obviously clean myself. How did you deal with it, both of you? Like Tessa, how did you deal with it? I know you worked in the bubble and hiding behind the doors, but
So,
I know you dealt with a lot of acts during the night as well, didn't you? Like checking up on.
yeah, so I was a support officer instead of an actual officer on the wings. So I had a lot less prisoner contact.
Yeah.
But I worked in the control room first for like years before I moved on to like night shifts,
Yeah.
like permanent nights. And although I wasn't face to face with everything that would have happened on the day to day, I was ultimately responsible. Well, the team that I was in was responsible from getting help from A to B and dealing with the overall safety of the prison. So that's where like my stress came in, and I'm not comparing it to you guys' stress because it's a job that I could not have done. So hats off to you guys.
No, but you did catch some upsetting things in the night sometimes,
100%.
didn't you? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I spoke about this in the episode about like my experience in mental health, and I spoke about things saying like I'm not new to seeing things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like and then went on night shifts as well, especially because you're face to face. Like night shift, there's 9 times out of 10, that's when people feel sad and lonely. You know, it's overnight. You go to sleep and you can't sleep, and you get a bit stressed and stuff. So I saw a lot of self harm. I too have had piss and shit thrown on me. I'll just put that out there. Even as a support officer, I've had piss and shit thrown on me when I used to IUP everyone for blocking the hatches and that.
So
They
how
used to
did
call
you?
me.
Go on.
They used to call me Miss IUP. But no, yeah, but like I would come home, and you know about the clean thing as well.
Yeah.
I used to come home and I would like
Right.
have to wipe my face. I would wipe my face with like a clear cloth and it would be black,
I had
even
to
though I
scrub.
wouldn't.
I had
Yeah,
to
it's
scrub.
just
Yeah.
it's disgusting. Yeah, but
So you're gone.
yeah, I would just kind of have time to yourself. Every evening was an evening to unwind. Do you know what I mean? I would
It's
just
hard, isn't it? You to just clear your
yeah.
head. Issa, how did you do with it? So obviously you wanted an arm around you. So how did obviously your missus
Yeah,
didn't
just
support it?
I was looking forward after a difficult day. I'm looking forward to go home. You know, like talk to the missus about it, and spend time with the kids. But I was getting the opposite. I'm going home to someone who's moody, didn't have time for me. And there was one particular time, just like Tessa said, we're dealing with self-harmers. There was a time where I had to cut down a rope. A prisoner had a telephone cord.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
It was when I was there.
Yeah, so I I was first on scene. I cut down, so that was a difficult, thing for me to. So I went home, and it was just negative, So I found myself in the room, in the kids' room, in fact, just sitting there, just thinking about it. So imagine if I hadn't gone there in time to cut down the cable.
What would have happened?
What would have happened? So I was thinking
but apart from your partner at the time, did you get support elsewhere? So from where we were working or any outsources support?
No.
Because obviously that in your head is going to be...
Yeah, during the early stages, I didn't really know where to look for support.
But didn't no one say there's a support if you need it? Like obviously where we worked, and I don't really want to mention the name too much. Give them...
No, I was offered no support. So it got to a point where I just felt like, yeah, this is the job. This is what I signed up for, innit? So I just have to find a way to deal with it.
Nah, that's great. No one should have to deal with that. None of us. No one.
Like that. Yeah, go home, then get ready to go back on the early shift, innit?
But I think even though the prison supposedly had, like the care team and things like that, unless you knew about it or it was specifically like offered to you, you wouldn't know about it. And I think
exactly,
if you didn't know about it, what other options do you have to kind of help yourself? And it goes back to the whole education thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless you're taught about mental health and taught that this is what you can do, this is where you can go, this is this is it, this is that, then there is nothing.
Even though, I agree with Tessa 100%, because even though you grew up or was born in a different country, right? Even here, I was born and bred in the UK, and my obviously my background's Indian Sikh, but from both religion, like Sikh side, from my nan and granddad, my mum and dad, and being in the UK, I never knew much about mental health. To probably my son now, who's 17, to he started going through a tough period at 13, 14. Never really knew anything about it, because every job I went to was never discussed. No one ever asked me or my colleagues wherever, and it weren't just a prison, wherever you are. I don't remember mental health getting discussed, and it's just really upsetting, really, because regardless you're doing a job, people, you just don't know what's going on behind closed doors, first of all. And that's why I go back to say you was always smiling, Issa. But then what woke me up as well last year, obviously, was going through me, and everyone always judged. And I always thought, but you don't understand what I'm going through. But then I never really realised what people were going through. I was very judgmental myself and opinionated. And it's just very upsetting that we're in 2023 and still to this day, mental health and getting spoken to the younger generation, let alone us.
Yeah.
But how did you feel? So obviously you're sitting in your kid's bedroom, mate, and you're feeling a bit down. How long did that feeling go on for? Days, weeks, months?
Yeah, it's months. It went on for days, weeks, months. I didn't, just like you were saying earlier, I didn't even think mental health was a thing. It was literally when I went to prison. Because before that, I've had setbacks, like I said, because I was into football, there was a point in my career where I went abroad in Gibraltar and I signed a professional contract. Everything was...
Issa's a baller, I just want to let everyone know. Really good player. He's a really good player. He's mustard. Sorry.
I've always, wanted to be a professional footballer, the opportunity to play professional in Gibraltar. And when I picked up a back injury and I got released, that's when, I'd had a lot of setbacks in the past, but I didn't think that, I just thought it was part of life, really. Because I remember being released in Gibraltar and then I came to the UK and back to square one, like find a normal job. I remember when I first came back, I remember I locked myself in the room for 2 weeks.
Did you think you couldn't find anything? What was your next step in life and stuff like that? Did you think?
All I knew was football.
Yeah. And that's the scary thing about football. I'm going to do an episode later in the next month or two about football, because obviously you coach.
I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming.
What was going to come?
You and football.
No, not serious. And you and baking.
Serious, man.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Love that.
Like, we delete that episode.
No.
But me and Issa do kids football coaching, and
Yeah.
that's a lot I hear from the kids is they don't want to get out of the room because my son's gone through it, and other kids, once they get let go or the coach lies to them or promises them the world and it don't happen, they don't want to leave their ass.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot to kids, and because they think that the world's over, but there's no education again of mental health and realizing only 0.4% or whatever people make of football. But we'll get to that episode anyway. Maybe we can come back on and chat. But yeah, sorry. Tessa's got you up there.
I'll skip that one.
I'll save my football story for that episode. I was just saying, I just brought that up.
No, it makes sense though, and it helps because
I've had setbacks like that in football, and I felt bad, but I didn't think that I was going through it then.
Yeah, man, I can't imagine what you must have been bashing your head against the wall, thinking what's happening to me at the time, especially when you didn't know what mental health. So you've got one kid, mate. Your missus at home with you in the UK. What happened after months gone by, mate?
So I've got one kid, and then the second kid came to the picture. But the relationship at home with the ex-partner it was tough. You know, I found myself. I wasn't able to keep the missus happy like I planned to, understand. And then working at Thameside, you know what Thameside is like. It's like you're not appreciated. I feel like you're not appreciated at work. And then I'm at home. I'm not appreciated at home. So I felt like, what's the point? You know, I'm working so hard, but like you said, I've always made sure I go to work. I work with a smile on my face. You know, a lot of people say when I speak to a lot of people I used to work with, they say that I'm always smiling, and that used to be a trigger for prisoners as well. You know,
I bet. Are you smiling? Because it's true though. Because you was the smiler. I remember. Like,
yeah.
I'll be honest. For ages, I forgot your name. Like Issa, I forgot how do I say his name? It's the smiley one. Yeah. And then obviously I was known as the grumpy chip on the shoulder one. Yeah, always. I could come in at a different 100. I've split personality. I was. Remember, that film Split. I was a bit like that. Like one day you didn't know what side of Kieran come in, and Tessa was just Tasmania devil all the time. No, but you was the smiler, so I feel your pain. Now we're talking about it because you're going in showing one side, the smiling, but no one actually sat down and realised what was going on in your head with all that.
I thought I was even having issue with management. I thought like I was putting in a lot of work. I was going the extra mile. A lot of other offices, they'll go to work, do what they're supposed to do, and out. Whilst with me, I'll go beyond what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
Like even looking at other offices, they spend a lot of time in the office, out on the wing, making sure prisoners get what they wanted. You understand?
You know who you are, right?
There could be a whole other episode about that.
Yeah, we might have to get a lot of them.
So I thought when I'm at work, I do the work. You understand?
No, I remember. You did help me a lot as well. I remember.
Yeah, I'll go, especially if they need someone to go cover a wing, a lot of cross deployments. I'll always volunteer. Because
you was one of the first people as well to just let listeners know when you press the button, that means you're in emergency. Officers try and support each other. Issa was one of the first people there when I pressed the button anyway. Or your whole wing usually was the first one there.
Yeah. I'm always there.
So you see that gold teeth running through the door, innit? It's like, sunglasses. No, go on, crack on, mate.
It got to a point. It got to a point where I started enjoying the job because I felt like I was making not a big difference, but I was making a little difference. Just I was speaking to a lot of the boys that were from sort of areas like mine. I said to them, like, you can be from that area. It doesn't mean you need to be a gang member.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's times where I could sit them down and especially when I'm helping them with the CMS and ordering food, that's a chance there to try to talk sense into them. And when the key worker thing came in, that's when I started seeing my strength. you know, sitting down. I was appointed like 10 prisoners where every now and then go speak to them and try to make a plan for them. That's when I started, you know, I started really reaching out, you know, to prisoners, you know, telling them that there's a lot you can do. Find something you like. If you keep yourself busy in something that you enjoy doing, you have less time to go cause trouble. You know, so a lot of them there was a particular moment I remember a prisoner was on the phone with his mum, and then I walked past, I just done a check, and then I heard him on the phone, yeah, mom, that's the prisoner that changed my life. When I come out, trust me, I'm gonna be different. That guy, you know, like he literally changed my life, mom. I'm never going back to jail. I heard it, and it
Oh, wow.
kind of put a smile to my face, like wow.
Did that make you feel good? Like,
Really, it made me feel really good.
when you knew you was making a difference and stuff, how was that making you? Was you feeling better when you went home, or was the negativity at home bringing you back down again?
I felt better. So I got used to that home situation. I just thought, you know what? When you come home, spend time by yourself, play with the kids. The kids obviously were making me happy, to be fair. You know, spend the time alone, think about how the day went, and then spend some time with the kids. You know, and so I got used to that. So I was looking forward to going to work, knowing that I'm actually making a little difference. I wasn't just going to work, serve dinner, do exercise. It was more, I was setting a good example to prison as well as new staffs. So some of the new staffs that came in, they was even saying every time you're on, it's always a smooth day, no issue. You know, even when my manager sat me down and said it to me as well. It's every day, like when you're on shift, there's never an issue, you know.
Oh man, okay. And that, to be fair, that's true when certain people were in, and certain managers were actually running it. It was calm. But
yeah.
then, yeah, no comment.
The office and said to me, every time you're on, it's like I don't need to come out of the office. I can do other stuff, knowing that you're there, you're taking care of the thing.
Yeah. And that's how you run smooth, innit?
Yeah, even that was rewarding to me as well. Until when one day I came home, right? I had 2 rest days, right? And the missus said, go do some grocery shopping. So I went to do grocery shopping and I came back and she was gone. She left a note.
What? She gone? Left?
Literally left a note saying that I'm off, you know, I came to the UK, thought that we can be a family, you know, but, you know, yes, I was confused. So I rang her, like, what are you doing? And she cut the phone off. So I didn't see my kids for almost a year.
Where did she go? Did she stay in the UK or?
Oh, yeah. So basically, so what happened was, so the week where she left, right? That Friday, because she left on a Friday, and that weekend I was supposed to be on, right? But I was making phone calls, driving around looking for my kids. So I didn't go to work that weekend. I went to work on the Monday, you know, and I explained it to the management, you know, the ADs. What they didn't really show me that support. So they even put me on stage 3. Literally, imagine having found out that your kids have been taken away from you, and then I go to work, I'm on stage 3, like about to lose my job as well.
So now you can't find your kids. You got stage 3 at work. I bet you this had a major effect on your depression and feelings and stuff.
Yeah, literally. So my stress level just went from just when it was getting better. I thought, because I remember I had a conversation with my manager saying that I don't see why you can't, like, this time next year or in a couple of months you can actually apply for a management job. So you think that I was at that level? Understand? You know, when the job becomes, when you're in control of your wing, it means you can actually manage your wing. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you're at that level now where you should go for if any opportunity comes. You're at that level. You're doing so well. So I was, you know, I was so excited about work again, and then that happened. You know, where they said to me on stage 3, the story that you've told us, you know, is irrelevant. You're still supposed to do things properly. So I was upset, angry, and I remember I even took a sick. I spoke to my doctor. He gave me 2 weeks off. Right. So even after that 2 weeks, it wasn't enough. I spoke to my manager. I said I need more time off. Like right now. I don't know where my kids are. I can't be coming to work. They're the reason why I'm doing this job in the first place. And they said to me, you're on stage 3. So the next one, you'll be losing your job. So I found myself going to work. Like I was going to work on the edge, basically. You know, I was going to work. I was like how do you call it? Like a ticking time bomb. Yeah. So spoke to my lawyers. I said, I don't know where they are. He said, just apply to the court. They'll find. So I made an application, but because it was during COVID time, they pushed it. So the date they gave me was the following year. So that means I have to go a whole year without seeing the.
Did you talk to them in the year?
Huh?
Did you even talk to them?
At all. I didn't, because
a whole year you never spoke to your children.
Communicating with the court. The court
That's
said
it.
they have a backlog of cases, so I have to wait until they find a date. And that was the only way I could see them.
Mate, that must have been tough, man.
No, it was tough. And then what made it worse, I found out that, because what I did, because I was trying to find a way to see where they were. Because I know she's not really from here, in a sense, so she don't really know a lot of people here. So what I did, I had her login details for her email. So I logged into her email and I found out that whilst I'm at work, she's at home calling like this women's aid. You understand? She's doing a lot of whilst I'm at work. So I found out that she's been planning to, I think it's just someone gave her advice. She came across this thing where she can lie about domestics and she can get a domestic settlement where she will get an indefinite stay. Now, as soon as I saw it, then because I saw the exact step that she was about to take, so I thought, nah, that's not fair on me. Like, I'm not having it. So I rang my lawyer. My lawyer said to me, if that's the route she's taking, it's difficult because 9 times out of 10, they always win. You understand? I said, I don't mind. If she wants her indefinite stay, I was already giving her, because of me, she was already getting a stay. So I don't know. I think that was the quickest route. So my lawyer, the only thing you can do is just try to get child contact, basically. Just try to get the kid. But you can't stop her from doing that because they're always going to take her side. Because what she did, there was no police record. She didn't go to the police about any domestics. She went straight to Women's Aid. And with Women's Aid, you know, like they don't want no evidence. They're there to look out for the woman.
Yeah, and the sad thing about that is there's obviously genuine women out there who are getting in domestics and that. And obviously I wasn't there in this situation, but listening to you, it's there's legit women out there who probably need women aid, and that just makes it so tough for women who actually need it to actually get the support, because there are and men as well. We're just ain't digging at women as well. There is being men and women who try and play that card a lot when they just want to disappear, and that's a bit upsetting, to be fair, to know how easy it is for people to play that card.
So when I found out, I thought at least they was gonna reach out to me. We're gonna go through courts and evidences. We're gonna be shit. Like that's what I was waiting for, that, and it didn't happen. And you know, so it was a shock to me, and that just drove me crazy. Like I was in the house, and some of the kids' clothes and toys were still there.
My current partner, again, this is like through COVID. We've been in like a bit of a similar situation. So I have 2 stepchildren with him. And he had 2 kids with his ex-partner, and she, for no reason, probably because he found out that he was in a new relationship. We won't go into all the nitty-gritty, but she stopped him from being able to see his children for like over 6 months. And it was only because of lies that she told. He had to wait and take it to court. And during that time, he had 0 contact with his children. Luckily now, we have full custody. Do you know what I mean? So she was found out to be a liar, and
so kind of similar to you, Issa,
it was hard. It was so hard, and he broke down not being able to to even know how his kids were. Do you know what I mean? Not even just ask, "Are my children okay?" That was really hard for him.
Can I just
So
jump in?
I can imagine how hard it was not seeing him for a year.
So
Yeah,
that
Issa and your partner, Tessa, like, I think the most time I've not seen my kids is probably like a week, and I found that tough, man. So
Yeah.
for you, Tessa, your bloke, and you, Issa, mate, I can't imagine how you were feeling because I would have felt crazy. I would have lost my head.
I tell you now, if it wasn't for the support of my family, like say my parents and my siblings, it would have been because there was times where I couldn't even stay in my house because my house is in Croydon. I couldn't stay back because I was having different. I felt worthless. I was thinking, what's the point of life? You know?
You saying that? Did you? To me, you saying that did you start thinking about suicidal, or
Yeah,
you did?
yeah,
It's just because the words you just used. That's why I've
and
asked it.
yeah.
So, what kind of feeling was that? What was your feelings? What were your thoughts? Tell us, mate.
Like I said, I was doing that job, that difficult job, because of my kids. You understand? And when it was no longer like in my life, so I felt like, what's the point? That's when I started having suicidal. So I even got scared thinking about, not wanting to take my own life. So I was so scared that so what I did, I moved into my mum's because I was scared to be alone because when I was alone, that's when I was having a lot of suicidal thoughts. So
That's a big issue for people as well, isn't it? It's feeling that loneliness and not knowing who to talk to.
Yeah.
so and I was still going to work with all of that pressure on me, you know. So in December 2020, because so my kids were taken away from me in July, so I went to work one day in December. It was a good day. Like I felt okay that day because I finally had a date. They said to me that the court date was gonna be July 2021. So I thought, okay, I'll be patient and wait.
Bit of peace of mind, didn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing, yeah.
So I said to myself, okay, all I have now is the job. Let me just make sure, because I just continue working. So that day, I did my key workers. I literally did everything by myself, right? When it was dinner time, I went to the kitchen, got the trolley, and my colleagues were even said to me, bro, like you've worked hard, you've done everything today by yourself. Just go in the office and sit down. We'll do dinner, and then, so I said to them, all right, let me just do dinner. Let's just do dinner because normally I like doing dinner because dinner I know the day is done, especially in the middle shift.
Yeah.
So because it was during COVID, it was controlled at the time. So I'm not gonna go because the investigation is still on, so I won't really say too much.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, so I was just giving out food, and I'll crack one of the doors. As soon as I cracked the door, all I saw was a fist. I got assaulted, where the prisoner apparently for someone made a promise to the prisoner, and the officer made a promise and didn't go back to that prisoner. So that prisoner was thinking the next officer to crack my door is gonna get it, and
That happened all the time, though, didn't it? Even
yeah,
when I was there, that happened
yeah,
all the time. You make a promise. We were all. That's one thing we were told. Don't make a promise to a prisoner
yeah.
because they remember. That's one thing they hold on to.
The thing with that particular prisoner, I've had what's it called? I spent the whole day done exercise, gave him his lunch, and there was no issue. I left the wing for about an hour or two to go do key workers in the house block 2. Came back to do dinner, and I got assaulted by that prisoner who I had no issue with, And so yeah, so I'm not gonna go too much into detail.
Yeah, obviously.
But I feel like I defended myself, and yeah, so I found myself in cuffs. Basically, I got arrested in the prison.
What? I
They,
never knew that. I never knew that.
I got assaulted. I had a bus slip. Like my gum. There was a hole in my gum. You understand? So I defended myself. Obviously, I used excessive force because at that time, one, I had so much things in my head,
Yeah, of course.
the job knew about. They didn't give me the help that I was seeking or the time off that I asked for. I didn't get it. So when that happened, straight away, instead of them to at least do an internal investigation to find out. They didn't. They called the police. I got arrested, and that case is still on.
Wow.
I know. I heard the boy even said that he's not pressing any charges. It's his fault. But Thames side, they're the one pushing the case, and that case
Ongoing, yeah. I think there's a lot of ongoing.
it's actually ruined my life.
So
And
that happened, obviously, and then with the kid situation. What's the kid situation now, mate?
so yeah, went to court. We went to court, and yeah, the court, they told her she can't stop me from seeing my kids. She has no provable reasons for me not to be in the kids' life. So yeah, so I've been having the kids every other weekend.
So
You have like joint custody.
Yeah, we have joint custody. So but the only thing though, because when she went for Women's Day, Women AIDS moved her all the way outside London in Brighton.
Oh.
So I have to do that journey to pick them up on a Friday, drop them back on a Sunday, understand?
How's the kids in general? Like, are they in a better place, a good place?
No, this whole situation's affected my son. So that's what breaks my heart sometimes. My son used to be, very open, like,
This your first one, yeah?
Yeah, my first son, yeah, because he's a lot older. Literally, his character is different now. He's very timid. He doesn't like being around people. Just seeing him, the way he is now, like literally pull me apart.
Yeah, mate.
That's
kind of hit me a little bit, because it's like my son, because like it's my own doing. He's become exactly what you just said.
And but like every time I see my son, it got like proper emotional. I can't believe this, like a happy kid who likes to like be around people. Now he's just, even when I pick him up sometimes, he likes to be in his corner, doing his drawings, because he's very talented at a young age at sketches. So that's all he does, But just going through it. And recently, last year, I applied I had a new job working for TFL, a job that I really liked. They were the complete opposite of the prison company I worked for. So they show a lot of support.
That's good, man.
We shift to make sure, like, if you're okay, your mental health, you're okay to start the shift. After every shift, they always check if you're all right. It was the.
So they always do a welfare check on you.
Yeah.
I shout out TFL. Well done.
Yeah, I would recommend, like, they're a very, very good company.
Shout out to TFL.
We're looking for sponsors, TFL.
Yeah. Free travel.
Free travel.
Exactly.
So are you, like, this moment in time? How are you now? Like, how are you feeling? How are you? Do you speak regularly to doctors or counselling? What's the situation now, mate? Like, mentally.
I'll tell you.
What have you received any help?
Yeah, are you receiving any
what
help?
what help have you received, if any?
So with the kids back in my life, right? That's helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then just recently, like a month or two ago, I lost the TFL job because of security check. So basically,
What's going on with?
So I worked with TFL for a year or so, and during that year, there was still security check ongoing because of that prison case.
That's what I was just going to say. Was it to do with that?
Yeah,
case?
because of that case, it's still pending because they keep pushing the court date. I'm supposed to appear in court for trials. They keep pushing it, and by pushing it, it's still basically there's a record of my check.
But hopefully, mate, on a bright, sounds like you're going to be hopefully like proving your innocence with that. Hopefully, when TFL take you back if that's the case.
It was just outbreak because I felt like I finally
found something. You found home or something like that. Yeah.
For that I need. I was happy again, and then just to find out, just receive a letter that you failed, mate, sorry, and that was it. Because so I had to resign because they didn't want to sack me. They really respected the job that I, so they gave me an opportunity to resign.
At least they've done that bit. But I'm sure, mate. I know it's going to sound you've been waiting a long time, but I'm sure you'll be proven your innocence, and you get back out there and easily get a decent job, mate. So
I'm confident. I've been through a lot. You
yeah.
know,
So
is
are you actually apart from like now talking to us, are you out there getting any other support, any support networks?
so when I was in PFL, I was part of the union. They're very, very good. So even up to this day, like, I get a lot of calls, checks, they try to point me in the right direction,
That's
and
good.
so I still get a lot of support from the union.
No, that's good.
So yeah, it's just, again, it's like some days are good, some days are really bad.
But you still do your music. There's the music try and get you out of that zone as well. Like
Yeah, music helps, but then again, when my mental health or whatever it is, stress, when it hits, it's like I
the
can't
energy.
have the energy. I don't have no motivation to to put pen to paper, studio, So there's days where I can do it, then there's other days where it's just I don't leave the house. So imagine that I still haven't even, after a year, I haven't been at my house because I'm scared to be alone. So I'm still at my mum's.
Come and stay with me, mate. Oh, this could do with an extra cuddle.
No,
No, what did you
it's not,
no.
with my mum's not even the cuddles. It's just
No, but seriously, is this one of your first times of you actually telling your whole story?
yeah. Basically, I was nervous. Like, I don't speak about I don't, even my mum, well, my sister, they probably next door. They probably shocked hearing all of this. That
You know what, man?
they
Like,
know the majority of it, but they don't know what's really going through my head.
no, but
Mm.
you should be so proud. I'm not just saying this, like, that's because I know you, but you should be so proud, and this goes to everyone who's willing to speak up, is you're going to inspire someone out there, regardless.
That's why I'm doing this.
And not just for that, I guarantee you, and I hope so, that tomorrow you wake up feeling a bit better in yourself, that a bit of weight off your shoulders, because that's how I felt when me and Tessa done my audio. But you're braver than me. You was willing to come on a video. I wasn't really comfortable doing the video, and you should be very proud of you, and especially with two of us sitting here on the screen and to tell your whole story, because you might get people out there having own judgment or opinions on regarding your relationship with your missus and that, but you come out here and told your story, and it's your story. So there's going to be no judgment on here, mate. But I'm proud of you anyway, mate. So hats off to you. Be proud of yourself, man. So, but listen, me, Tessa. Also, even if you feel you can't talk to us, you go email our email address, like anonymous. What's that word? Anonymously or?
Anonymously.
Yeah, that's the word. And if you need some info or details and stuff, just shout out, man. We'll sort it out. Because, like I said on my podcast, and Tessa's probably going to say something else, mate. I still do counselling. I still talk. Today, my mental health. I'm not. This is not my show, but I've had a really bad day today, and luckily enough, it was weird. My mental health support officer called me, and I just thought, well, how did you know I needed to talk? It was weird, and still now. And then I do my drug and alcohol stuff and all that. So I'm still going for it, but I'm even now talking about it, I get all weird about it. But for you to be confident in your story, man, buzzing, proud of you, man. I've been waiting for 2 days for Tessa's, by the way. I have. She
Well,
said it's coming.
we've not
It's
able to be
it's
like face
coming,
to
but it's
face. I've
not.
had to do it on my own, and I'll admit I did have I had a good cry after I recorded my section. I did. I had a cry.
But Tessa, is there anything you want to add to Issa's story or ask him?
It's just again, it's just like well done for telling your story. Do you know what I mean? I think it's very, very hard for I mean men and women, but men, do you know what I mean? And to speak out and say like, look, I'm not doing okay. But the fact that you're on here is amazing. We're not face to face, but you're sitting here on a video telling us how that that you've had a struggle, and that is amazing. And just by saying that, it will inspire someone else, because there's going to be someone watching this back, maybe tomorrow, the day after, or in a year's time. Someone's going to watch this and say, do you know what? I've been through a similar situation, and if he can sit there and he can say, like he said, I'm not okay, and he shared his story, then maybe I can do the same. And that's what
Exactly.
this whole thing is about, you know, it is just creating a space where people can just say how they're feeling and get support. And that's what
Exactly.
we're here for.
Yeah, and you're part of the family anyway. You're the intro tune man. You got to tune this. You got to do new releases once a month, mate. I ain't told you that yet, mate.
Once a month.
Once a month. No, but no, seriously.
We'll have like a whole soundtrack, like a whole CD soon, won't we?
Oh,
Just playing in the background. Imagine
next mission.
an album. I'll
Hold
sing
on.
on it. I'll sing as well. I'll sing.
I was gonna say get you guys in it as well.
Yeah.
Kieran can be the
Hey,
backup
hey,
dancer.
I'll send it to you, all right? I'll send it to both of you after this. I won't send it out there on the podcast, sorry. I tried a little rap with your beat yesterday, yeah?
Oh,
I've got this
Put it
little...
on the Facebook group, please.
No, Tessa, you know the little pod thing I've got, the buttons?
No,
I've added it to one of them, innit? And I was gonna send it. But
please send it to me.
No, I'll send it to you too, but I ain't gonna and then it's you to do whatever. But now, just to end on another positive, it's like Issa's mentioned some football takes his mind off things and stuff like that. And I always say to people, well, now I know, is finding a hobby or finding an interest to keep your mind busy is the best thing. Mine is walking, fresh air, and this now. Like, this motivates me so much. I forgot Chelsea and Liverpool playing tonight because I was just too busy on this. It's like no, but it's because I'm set your mind on something, and self care, and that goes to you, Issa. I know you've got your kids and you love your kids, and you sound like a great dad to do anything for your kid. But what I've learned, mate, is if you self care for yourself, the kids' vibe will get better and they become happier because they can feel daddy becoming caring about himself, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
That's what we said the other week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, if you can't love yourself, how are you supposed to love someone else?
That's the good quote. I'll keep forgetting that one. I need to write that down. But I do. But it's like my household is when I weren't caring for myself, you could feel the fire. Now I'm quite slowly caring for myself. It's a bit more happier. So listen, we're always here for you, and also I'm sure there's people out there on the group already who probably got a similar story. So maybe the ideal world is people connect with each other who's got a similar story, and hopefully might become a friend out of it or a Facebook friend who you can communicate with. But my mission is to normalise these conversations and make people confident. Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. You might have been accused of whatever. You might have been accused of being a drunkie or whatever it is. Don't be ashamed. You can always turn things around. So, and you're clearly trying to do that. So, like, hats off to you. Shame about Tessa. She still can't cook properly, so she ain't turned nothing around. But
Oh man.
I'll delete that bit.
No, you won't know. You'll keep it in. You know, you were saying about like finding a hobby for yourself, keeping yourself busy, doing something for you. Baking was my thing because during lockdown, that was my thing. That's probably why I put on so much weight
Yeah, but why did you?
during lockdown.
We talked about that on your one because I want to know a few things about that bit because I ain't seen no advertising on. Like, you stopped obviously, but
Oh yeah.
Issa, is there anything you want to say to the viewers or anyone listening?
Yeah, it's just about trying to reach out to someone else who might be struggling, because I know a lot of people, if they see a lot of people that know me, when they see this and hear my story, they'll be surprised because they'll be thinking, "Oh, like we didn't know you was going through that. Like you've never shown any weakness. You're always happy.
But it shows again, like, you are going to get that because I've said it already that you was always smiling, but hopefully it shows people who hasn't been in our situations yet, your situation, my situation, Tessa's situation, our listener's situation, or whatever, and it actually hits something that, now I know my brother or my sister could be going through a tough time. They're always smiling. Maybe I better check on them or whatever. And it's also getting that message out there. You might not be going through anything negative, but someone you care for or love, maybe just to see if they're okay, innit? That's the thing. And it sounds like you're getting better. But if you ever get in a bad, just pick up the phone, mate. Like Tessa, I'm sure Tessa will take a call. I'll take a call. whatever. Want to go and kick ball? Not that I can run much, mate. Three of you, mate, like just a message away. And if that, well, I don't think you'd be embarrassed. I know you've spoken up, and listeners out there, like, I hope you can give some feedback or give Issa a shout out, because it took him a lot to come on this today. But not, but
Well, I've always, when I saw this page, a safe space between us, it's something that I'm happy about, and like I said to you, if there's any way that I can support the cause, like, I'm always willing to, and in what I can do, like with the rap as well, I was happy to do that. And having listened to your story as well, that's when I just thought, yeah, like maybe I could share my story as well, obviously
right.
well, there could be someone else that can relate to my story as well.
And that's firstly, again, proud of you for that, and I'm glad that kind of my story has got you to do that. But now your story is going to get someone else to do that.
Yeah.
And Tessa's story is going to connect with someone else, and that's what we all got to remember. We all got our own stories. No one's story is going to guarantee you. Someone will contact me or Tessa or you and say, "I want to tell my story now," and then Tessa might get a few women or a few men, probably likely women, in with Tessa's, and to get people to talk, and that's the main thing. And then the bigger it gets in. But Issa, listen, glad to have you on board, man, and anything you need, just give us a message as always. When Arsenal win the league, we'll have a podcast. But maybe the last game of the season, we'll do a podcast live.
Help me out.
We'll get all the Man United fans on here.
I just saw that idea just pop in your brain then.
It'd be, and here's Jesus with the ball. Ramsdale. Let's get your bloke on here as well, Tessa. But no, seriously.
Oh, don't.
Only time I left the crib, had to take a trip back to the motherland. You can see it from the mud, all I see is